What's happening, everybody?
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome back to The Bar's Open with Beth and Greg. This is Married Life, a true story.
I love how you always say it like that.
Married life, a true story.
Yes.
This is our fun little expose on bullshit that happens when you're married.
Yes.
Because as you grow together, weird shit happens.
As you grow together, the mystique goes away.
The curtains are pulled.
You see the wizard.
The wizard is ugly as fuck sometimes. Not really ugly.
Not really.
Just kind of fucked up. You're like, wait a minute.
Wait, huh?
I don't believe a goddamn word you're saying. Not like it can be all smoke and mirrors if you're not careful. And that's what this episode's about.
Yes.
This episode is about oversharing.
Mm-hmm.
How much is too much?
Right.
Right?
Right.
So you get into stories about like people that just
Share everything.
they don't have fucking
They don't.
and it's not even a filter. It's just they
I was gonna say,
share
they have
everything.
no filters. They
literally like will shit with the door open.
or
Right.
shit while their spouse is showering.
I don't give a fuck.
I
I
think-
never want to be in a room where you're pooping.
Amen, brother.
I don't have any need to do that.
Nope. I never need to see that.
No. And, and it's just like, it's just the bodily function.
I mean, I know we both do it. You do it a lot.
So do you.
No.
Start bringing your book in there with your.
I've learned that from you, taking your phone in there.
But no. Okay. So have we ever done that? The answer is no.
No.
We'll,
I have pooped with the door open.
if I'm not even in the house.
No, if you're home.
Why would you ever?
Because if it's 7 o'clock in the morning and I have to go potty and it wakes me up and you're in bed asleep, I don't want to turn the light on because it's going to wake my
Just
ass
close
up.
the door and close yourself into a
You
nice
can't even tell when you're.
closed box.
Then how do you know when you're done wiping?
Just keep wiping until you're like you've run out of toilet
So
paper.
I will do it
basically.
sometimes if I happen to wake up at like 6,
Oh my God.
6:30. You're asleep. You have no idea.
Mick's sitting in there between your feet.
No,
'Cause
mix
that's
in
what
the
he
kennel.
does. He just sits in there and he guards her, stares out the door like.
But I mean, that's far and few between. But you've never known about it. It's not like you know.
I do now, dear God.
You do now, but you still aren't going to know when it's happening.
Nope, you're right.
But these people, I have people who
you know people.
I know people
You
who
have people.
have said, I have people. I know people that said, well, I was in there taking a crap while she was sharing. I was like, seriously, dude?
Like you're having a conversation. So we will have the conversation. Like, and I'm like, oh my God, please just leave me alone for like 2 seconds. I'm just trying to finish up in here. Or I'm not. I just got in here and you're like, hey, honey, do we have butter or some dumb shit like that? And I'm like, what in the fuck? What? You couldn't wait like 22 minutes till I'm out of here?
22 minutes. That's a short one.
Stop it.
But we don't really bug each other when we're sitting on the throne. I mean, because, well, there's just no need, first of all.
Right. It's called just leave me the fuck alone for 2 minutes.
But I mean, that should be private time. I don't want to.
Private time
ever.
is private time.
I don't ever want you to come in while I'm in the shower, especially because it's a glass shower, and you just pull in there and be like, I'm gonna poop. I
No,
know.
nor would I ever want to.
Because all I'm gonna do the whole time I'm showering
Like
is
if there
gag.
has to be, okay, so there could be this situation.
An emergency.
We have a house that has one bathroom. No, we don't, but you could have a
I mean,
house
you
that
can
has
still plan.
one bathroom, and you're like, the coffee hit.
Oh, well, you can still hold
And
it.
no, sometimes you're like,
No?
no.
I didn't know that. I don't drink coffee.
You're like, dear God, just stay behind the curtain.
But we don't have a curtain.
No, but I mean, I'm just saying, if you have a single, you have two
So granted, here's
bedrooms,
what's
3
hilarious.
bedrooms,
We talk about this.
one
but
shared
we have a
bathroom.
water hole, so we have a door. I still
A
don't want
water
you.
closet.
Water closet. I still don't want you in there pooping when I'm taking a shower.
No, you're
with
right.
The door closed.
But I'm just saying, for families that only have, say, you have one bathroom, you're like, the kids
or
beating
you
on
have
the
2, but
door.
there's 5 kids. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And you're like, it's either out back or sorry, honey.
Oh.
Like, I'm not using the poison ivy in the backyard to wipe my butt.
Should have planted better.
But that's usually where you're like, I'm washing my hair and I'm conditioning and I'm going to do all the stuff today. That's when that's going to happen.
Yeah, well,
For anybody out there.
we're
That's what
lucky
that's
that we
about.
have several bathrooms.
Yeah, we have several
We have 2.5 bathrooms that we're
So
good.
we've got plenty of.
That should never be an excuse.
But for folks out there, it could happen. I understand the situation.
Yeah, and I'm never gonna poop in front of you.
So how do we
Period.
keep that fantasy alive? Where
By not letting you
where
see me
you
poop.
never go to the restroom?
No, I don't think. I mean, because we were like that. Because I'll tell you, it was really funny when we did not live together yet. I had no idea you farted as much as you fart.
You do the same thing.
I do not. I hardly ever fart.
It's kind of like you snoring. You never snore either.
I didn't snore before because I was younger and skinnier.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is. Because you didn't either, and you snore now too. But
No, I don't.
I remember the first
Prove it.
week we moved in. I'm like, dude, were you always this gassy? You're like, yeah, I just usually went outside because we didn't live together. I was trying to impress you. I was like, you sold me a
Now
fake,
I got you.
sold me a fake bag of goods, buddy.
Now I've got you.
So there's the reality piece of it.
Yeah.
But I think there's something to be said about not knowing too much because that's what makes you sexy to me. Like, would I still find? Hey, some people might not. If you pooped in front of me, would you still be Adi McHots a lot? Nah, that might start to diminish over some time, but that's just me. Some people don't care, and for some people, it might make them more endearing. I mean, don't ever think it's going to make you more endearing to me.
Okay.
But
Like,
for
is that
some
a
people,
thing, honey? Can we do?
No,
I'm just kidding.
because I do have some friends. So my bestie, dude, she shares everything, whether you're her spouse or not. Like, she'll just tell you full on, this is what's happening to me right now. I'm like, Steph, don't tell people that. She's like, why not? It is what it is. I'm like,
Yeah. Leave some things behind that curtain.
Leave some things to the imagination.
Yeah. Like personal hygiene.
Well,
Like, we just want to know that I'm not just saying like the habits of hygiene, right?
what do you
I'm
like?
not saying like go take your showers, do your normal stuff like the cleaning, but
Right.
but your manicuring and your
Your
trimmings
manscaping and your bikini
manscapings.
upkeep.
Like I'm a French guy. I've got a hairy chest, right?
Right.
So I have to trim it up every once in a while. Like a little hair on the back. Like I have to have you like trim me up every once in a while. That's manscaping.
Yeah.
That's like it comes and goes.
I mean,
I'm
did
like,
I
can't
ever in
reach
my
back.
life think I'd be helping my husband trim his back hair? No.
Probably not.
But
you like it a lot more when it's done.
I do. That's why I keep saying we're gonna get bitch lasered.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
why
we're gonna
don't
get
you
that
use the
bitch lasered.
clippers? Right?
You don't use the clippers. I
So
use
look-
the clippers.
Like, what things? Okay, so
well, for me,
of me,
for
like,
me,
let me ask you,
Yeah.
like, of me, what hygiene things? Like, trim my nose hairs, trim my ear hairs,
Mhm.
do the normal kind of maintenance things. There's not a lot for guys that really takes like trim up your balls,
just always make
do
sure you
your
shower.
stuff, stay clean.
Yeah, shake.
Like, there's
wear
definitely the
deodorant.
days that'll go like, it's been 2 or 3 days since I've taken a
Yeah,
shower.
and that's all of us.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I'm like,
don't
all
judge
right,
us if that's not you.
motherfucker, yeah, you can take 20 showers
But
a
even
week.
for me, like we've been together 17 years, married for 15 this
Yeah.
August. There are still things like I want you to see me, and I don't want you to see like what it takes to be me. I want you just to see what I've
The
done
finished
to
product,
make
if
you
you will.
be like, no, I still got it. She hot.
Yeah, exactly.
No idea that I'm in there plucking anything from anywhere that shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'll never tell you that. I never tell you, like, I mean, there are certain things like, okay, babe, I started my period today. I feel like shit. And you're like, hey, I don't want to know that. Yes, you do. You really do want to know that because you should not touch me for the next 5 days. But I would never come to you and be like, hey, you want to, I can't like,
You want to trim my something or other?
no, like, you want to stick a tampon?
No, I would
Yeah,
never,
exactly.
No, that's just not even a
You
thing.
know, like there's these things that I just would never allow myself to have crossed.
Right. I think that's a great way to put it. It's like, yeah, I mean, there's certain things you like, hey, I need you to, like I said, trim my back or
Right.
something like that. Or there are things you can have fun with if you wanted to,
Right.
like trimming each other up or something like
Right.
that. There are
Make
those. It just
fun,
depends
fun
on the
time, sexy fun
scenario.
time.
Right.
But I mean, when I had my kidney infection, I mean, I told you everything that was happening with me
Yeah. We
when
thought
I had
you were
my
gonna
kidney
die,
infection.
that's why.
Yeah. But there's a part of me that's like, how do I keep that allure?
Yeah.
Constant.
So what do you do?
Not tell you
Like
shit.
what things? Okay, so you don't have to tell me specifics, but like what things do you like? What things do you think women, or what things? I don't want to say in general because everybody's different.
Right.
But like for you, like give me a couple of examples of like what you do. Like when you're in the bathroom, door closed,
Right.
are you like
Well,
plucking
I mean,
eyebrows?
some of it is
or...
I take hormones.
Yeah.
Right. So some of that is that to help with a lot of the stuff that your
Balancing some
body
of the
goes
things.
through as
Yeah.
you age. But I don't do my own eyebrows. I walk out with no eyebrows. So I let somebody else handle that. I'm fixing to go, like tomorrow I have an appointment for laser hair removal because I'd done it years ago.
Yeah.
And I loved it and you liked it. Well, I start taking hormones and hello, I have hair growing where it hasn't grown for a decade, you know? And so,
Really?
yeah. Oh, you know that. So, I mean, there are things like that that I'm like, I don't want him to have to help me with that. I want somebody else to help me with
I'm
that.
not
So I
trimming your
just,
butthole.
exactly.
Like get the scissors out.
You know, like I
shears.
don't, those are things that I don't want
That
you
would
to
be
do.
something
I just
that
want them
I'm
to be
interested
done so that you see the allure
I see the
of
finished
everything.
product.
Yes.
The polished and
Yes.
waxed product.
without having to get
Up
elbow in there, you
Mm-mm.
know? So it's stuff like that. I honestly, like if there's something feminine that's happening with me that you don't need to know about, I don't share. That is for me. This is my problem. If I can
agree.
fix it, I'm gonna fix it without getting
agree.
you involved.
Yeah,
you know,
I think,
that's-
and I appreciate that. But if it was ever like a health issue, then
Oh,
we
yeah.
deal with that.
right,
But yeah, if it's just a whatever the fuck
Right.
it could be.
right. Well, because like here's a perfect example. As you get older, for women, as you get older, your bladder gets weaker. Walk around the house coughing for 6 weeks,
Because
like you're
of cedar fever here
dying.
in Texas. Yeah.
You're like, I think I just peed my pants. I'm not telling Greg that. I'm just going to go find a reason to change, you know, and you'd be like, oh, I was too hot or whatever, you know, but I
That's an
definitely don't,
interesting- yeah.
I don't ever tell you.
And I think that happens to like even women that have kids and stuff
Oh,
like
women that
like,
have kids, it happens
their
earlier.
bladders get
Right.
weaker or
Women,
something like that.
if you don't have kids, it happens more towards like as you get like in your 50s and stuff.
Okay.
But women with children, I mean, it can
Happens
happen starting
early.
as like 33, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we need to get that Depend sponsorship.
No, we don't. Shut up.
Oh, I shipped my pants.
Oh, I shipped my pants. Nope. There's things that I could do that I've done that I'm willing to do again.
So that kind of brings us up to our kind of our one of our other points here is like aging bodies,
Oh,
right?
good gravy.
And just accepting who you are,
Right.
right? And that's a big one. That's a
Well, and I
challenge
think-
for a lot of women. Let me give you an
Abso-fucking-lutely.
example. So this was an interesting example. There
You're
was
playing with your mustache. You're like covering your mouth.
I know. Sorry. There was. I don't remember which supermodel it was.
Okay.
Kornikova, not something. I can't remember her name.
Who?
But she was no.
Oh.
I just can't remember her name. But she was like a super model.
She was like smoking hot.
Yeah. In like the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
And that was like she was in her 30s and early 40s in the early 90s.
Okay.
right? And then she hit.
So she's like in her 60s now?
she's in her 60s.
Okay.
And she's still
Brooke Shields? I don't think Brooke
Nope,
Shields
nope,
quite that
nope.
old.
she still looks great, but her face
Yes.
has aged.
Right.
And she's got
You
like
lose your
the
collagen.
neck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That just happens over the
Right.
years or whatever.
But here's the thing that I
Let me-
think is hard about
Let me
that.
give you
Okay.
a second.
Yeah.
This was the point. Was she goes, there's this mysterious time. I don't want to call it mysterious time. There's this time frame for women
Mhm.
that goes from like being a 40-something-year-old to all of a sudden you're Betty White. Right? And for women in between there's no cool time. There's no
Okay, time for it to happen.
okay time for it to
Right.
happen. Either you're Betty White and you're cool as shit,
Right.
or you're this somebody that's hot and blah blah blah.
Right.
But there's this like 20-year period that like you disappear.
Well, and I think that happens a lot more for women than it does
No, that's
for
what I'm saying.
men
It was
because
very
like we've had
specifically what she was
conversations
saying,
about
yeah.
like, you know what? The first time I found a gray pube, I was like, what the living ever effing thing is this? They don't tell you.
You know, there's
I
no
mean, it makes
fucking
common sense because all your hair,
I get like
all your hair
yeah.
is going to turn gray, but they don't tell you in
I get
health
gray
classes that
chest
you're
hair.
going to
The
get
first one I got
gray
was at,
pube
like,
hair, and you're like, what is happening to me?
or I get a
Got
gray
my
one
first
down
gray
there.
eyebrow earlier. Remember, I came
This
out and
week?
told you I was like, honey,
Last week, yeah.
it was like Tuesday. I was like, I just plucked my first gray. What the hell is that about?
And I was like, oh, welcome.
You
to
know,
the
like
club.
there's
I'm
just
younger
things
than you.
that your body changes that I think men go through, but it's different because
they call it aging gracefully for guys.
well, no, that's your
or whatever they.
what is it called? You're very
salt and pepper. They have all these
debonair, or, you know,
they have
like
all these different sayings, for
right.
it.
And for
But for
girls,
women,
it's just, oh, she got saggy boobs now, you
but
know?
you're equally as beautiful,
Right.
right?
And here's the thing.
And you
So
have to, and that's the hard
this is
thing
where
for
finding
people
the
to accept.
the right spot, because she's talking about that, right? And
Yeah.
you see some people who fight it tooth and nail and they don't even look like themselves anymore.
Right.
So would you rather not look like yourself anymore, or do what you can to remain who you are without going overboard
There's
and
kind of this
accepting who you are?
balance, right? Like you
think it's
got
probably a hard
collagen
spot.
injected under
Mhm.
your eyes because that was like a big
Not collagen,
thing,
but
or
filler. Yeah.
filler.
Yeah.
Because like your family has
As bags. Right.
and when you did it, it smoothed everything
Probably
out.
need to do it again,
And
but
Well, you just got little ones, but they're not bad or anything like that. But that's because we get older, right?
right.
I've got crow's feet, right? I'm bald to shit, so I shave my head. I have
Right.
been doing this for years,
Right.
right? You know, and yeah, I'm not as fit as I used to be, or whatever. and that's-
Whatever.
But
So damn
nonetheless,
fit,
it's
it's
still
crazy.
the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And we go back to the not having kids episode that
Right.
we did, and I have more time to focus on
Right.
those things. You have more time to focus
Right.
on.
Which sometimes is good and sometimes is bad, because
You could overfocus.
you can overfocus on it and give yourself
All of a sudden, you got
complex.
fucking collagen lips, and,
right, or
whatever.
you're like using all these different chemicals
I think
on
I
your
might get
skin,
a butt
or
lift. What do you
a
think?
butt lift.
Like
Okay,
get the super inflated ass
like
cheeks.
butt cheeks.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Finally
or you
fill
could
out-
just do squats.
Could fill out those new jeans I got.
There you go. So you know, I just think as a couple, we have to appreciate the agingness of each other.
I love it.
And well, I
We
don't
go through- I
necessarily.
mean-
I love it, but
but it
I
is
mean,
what
I'll
it
ask
is,
you
right?
questions sometimes that we're never going to repeat, and I'll be like, "So, is this seem like this?" You're like, "Babe, shut up." I'm like, "You sure?"
Yeah,
You know?
and I'm totally fine with it.
And so it's kind of funny, but
So I think you guys should be fine with each other growing old.
absolutely,
And it's not even
because you're
with
both
each
going to
other,
do it.
except kind of what you can do and you can control for
Right.
yourself.
Be comfortable with you
And
in
if you
your
can
own
go to
skin.
the gym, go to the gym. And if you have, and you want to get your eyebrows done,
Or if you have money and you want to, I mean, I can't ever see myself doing a lift and tuck, but I could see getting my eyes done.
whatever
You
feels
know?
comfortable, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, do what you can
Don't
afford and
go
what
to
you're
the
comfortable.
extremes, you end up like Lion Lady or whatever.
Yeah. Or getting so much filler, you no longer look like who you are.
Because we appreciate the way you look,
Yes.
and I appreciate the way you look,
Me too, baby.
and
For you.
I appreciate the way I look.
I appreciate that
And I
too.
think that's number one. There's a lot of people that will talk about like you need to take care of, your spouse first, but I think you
Nope,
have to take care of yourself first.
Yep. You can't take care of anyone
Otherwise
if you're
you-
not taking care of yourself.
100%. So,
Mhm.
cheers, you guys.
Bye,
That's
guys.
the married life, a true story. I love you guys.
See you guys soon.
Catch you later.